Good morning. Today's title on YouTube is Wall Street Overdoses on the Liquidity Crack Pipe. And a little bit too good a thing, too much. And the inflation scares rose their head as 10-year moved up. And so I thought, well, we'll see if this doesn't get down to the 50 MA, but the S&P just missed it. We should set an alert at that 50 MA in case it gets down there. Let the computer watch it. And SPX just missed getting there. There was a bad tick in the spiders. The close yesterday showed that it touched it, but I think it did. The S&P futures did hit it overnight and then started to bounce up from there. So that was the first downside target, and now it's violated the uptrend. These two pivot lows here. And while this is not in a downtrend yet, for all the years that I've been doing this, one of my rules is that if a price move is so deep and violent that after making a new high, it breaks down past two prior pivot lows, which is in essence either a super deep move if the pivots aren't close together. In this case, they were. So it's going through a consolidation that's lasted, well, I guess about a month or so. To view this from the point of view of a downtrend. Now, I know it's not making lower highs and lower lows yet, but the point there is to shift a bias because the move has been so large to short rallies. And until proven otherwise in this time frame, that's exactly how we'll view it. The question is, well, what would change that? Well, a very deep retracement back up here. How deep? About 80%. So, even if I've got the line here, which lines up with the pivot, but about in the middle of the wide range bar, which is how we always do it. Can it get through there? Well, if it does, and it can close beyond that, well, that's a pretty good start to starting a retracement, because historically a move like this is going to stay in the lower half or even the lower third as it consolidates, this relatively large move. It chops around for a few days and then the next leg down. And so we'll just see how that shapes up. Yeah, Steve, you're right. We've been seeing V bottoms. However, this one having gone sideways as it has for as long as it did, and then popping to a new high, sentiment being to the extreme that it was for as long as it was, this wood going up, which we're going to take a look at because it had such a big down move. But, this inflation thing, I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's going to take time. This thing has shifted like that. So, yeah, there has been V bottoms like this. This was your normal type of a pullback into support. Yes, this was a nasty move down, and it stayed in the lower half, and the next leg down to the area of the prior pivot low and that price support before it stabilized. And this one here, it started the leg down, big bar, continuation down. So it could make a V bottom. Here's the next, big down move, and then the next leg down and V bottom. So yes, that could occur again, down, retracement, retest, V bottom. So what you're saying is correct. However, that doesn't mean that today's move is going to turn and be a V bottom. Right? So maybe it comes down to 4,000 or who knows what. You can see the 20 MA is right below 4,000, which is aligned with this support here. And that is equivalent to the 100 MA on this time frame. So maybe it does come down into this area, forms a V bottom, and right back up again. So we'll see how it plays out. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So who said here? Probably McGraw said something about VIX today. So one of the things that mentioned yesterday was set alerts on the VIX. And my alert was up near 30 and up near here. So it didn't quite hit 30, but you can see how it backed off. So setting alerts up there, should be aware of those prior swing highs where markets bottomed. And spiders shows that they touched it, but they said yesterday there was that bad tick. Actually, it was closed a little bit above, but overnight the futures, they did push down through it and then came back up, and so now they've rallied from that extreme to the prior pivot high on the 60-minute, which is obviously resistance. You can see it beginning to chop around here. Now, the depth of retracement here is a positive. So this is a really extreme move. Now, question, can it get above that? Or does it stay, down here in the lower, third or so and chop around all day today? Now, that if it does that without breaking down to new lows, yeah, that could set up the next move higher into tomorrow. If it can get through here today, well, certainly that'd be a positive. And because of the way it came down, there is a void here. So the other part of how we view these of staying in the lower 50% is that we want to see the open and close, the candle bodies stay in the lower 50%. So there can be rallies into a void that then decline and form a topping tail. So again, we shall see if these candle bodies stay in the lower half in the coming days. And the deeper it goes into the big red bar, logic says the potential to negate that move becomes greater. You can see just the next chunk of overhead resistance up there, just waiting, where traders, investors, whatever, began to accumulate, thinking, okay, buy the dip, and it formed a pivot, buy the dip. But then as it couldn't get through the prior resistance pivot highs, well, now all of those people, that's how we view charts, would have loved to get their money back. So obviously you got a whole bunch here because of the size of the congestion that are in hope mode. So that's an area, keep an eye on that 4,100 level up in there, give or take. It's an area. Right now, question is, can it get through here? And seeing it's beginning to falter here. And if it stalls near 4,100, well, I'm not sure what do you mean on the way up, McGraw? Oh, actually, that's 4,100. It was 4,140 up there. 4,100 really shouldn't make much of a difference at all. If it can get through here and it doesn't push through 4,100, something's wrong. Something wrong. That it just means that sellers are aggressive, because all there is this little shelf right over here. So where it's reached this area, like 44,075, 680, whatever, up to close to 90. The longer it can go sideways there, the more bullish it is. Now, because it is going sideways, one of the things that could happen on the bearish side today would be it pops up here and immediately gets slammed right back down again. So we'll be watching for that. The Dow came down hard. It hit one of the futures, hit the 50 MA there, this little shelf, and it's come back up, and same story. It's coming up into this shelf of resistance. And I didn't mention it, but I'm sure everybody can see the big nasty red bar on the weekly. We've got a couple of days to see if the markets can, turn that around to whatever degree. But, popping up above a consolidation and an immediate reversal that takes out the low. And we'll see if it closes below the low. Common sense. It's, a bearish reversal bar, and it suggests a move lower, or at least sideways for a period of time. Yeah. So what was support becomes resistance. It hits its head there and it's chopping around. And we'll just see what it does. And you can see, this has not retraced as far as the S&P. So this was the leader. And oftentimes the leader is the one that underperforms when the correction begins. And the loser, right, because it's come down further than the others, begins to outperform. And one of the things I mentioned yesterday was, this, I think we'll keep an eye on this, could be a point in time where tech begins to outperform as money flows out of, those Dow stocks, rebuilding stocks, whether it's Caterpillar and so on, and flows into tech, which has been beaten down. And so, they have the greater potential to recover. Just reading other comments on YouTube there. Okay. So, and you can see as far as outperformance, the Qs have gotten up above the pivot highs here. So they have broken the downtrend on the hourly time frame after making a new low. And that's a plus. So these overlapping opens and closes, and that's where first resistance is, and it's right in the middle of that bar. It just happens to line up that way. But you can see this area up here where it fell from previously. Okay. Beginning to stall up here. And you see the 5 minute has gotten turned around. And when it does that, it's above the moving averages. The 20 is pointing up. It says all those time frames here have turned around. Excuse me. The 5, obviously. And this is the 15, and this is the 60. And you can see they're all turned around. So as long as this shapes up with some type of a bullish pattern, we look for this to continue to move higher, those buy setups, until it reaches its destination. Now, of course, the S&Ps already have. So they're in the area. Can the Qs go it alone? We'll find out. The Russell was just killed. It stalled there on the way down, and then it just kept going. But similar pattern on the hourly, break to a new low, and up to resistance, and just what a giant mess. With these big overlapping bars here, and drop and deep retracement and deep again, and just mess and new low, breakdown failure and breakout failure. It is just a heart attack. You need to take it. It's dead already, but it'll keep trading. It's at a very critical level there. And as we condense this on the weekly time frame, you can see why this is such an important level for this to be try and hold, because if it doesn't, it just opens up the door to something a lot more bearish. But we'll see what happens. We've got a couple of pivot lows in that area. Right? Up at resistance. Bonds coming in here, well, stabilizing for now. You see that reversal, and there's the 10-year near pivot low. And of course, what got the markets, excited there. It's been here before, so all of a sudden now this is a big deal. Well, maybe there's other things, as well, but that's a pretty big bar, as you can see. So a big move in a short amount of time. We'll see if it gets through here. And so something to keep an eye on, since the markets, the equity markets are focused on this, is that if it can get through here and these highs to push up toward, 2%, which we talked about some time ago, as it pushes up into here, and if it should get through here, I think, markets, if they don't like this, well, they're sure going to hate that. So certainly makes sense to be aware of what's happening there. Oil chopping around a little bit here, up near resistance, makes sense. Gold backing off a little bit, that's up at resistance. and silver, chopping around near resistance. You see the weekly chart. Now here's whatever a lot of people have been talking about. Oh my God, to build a deck now costs, so much more money, or a house costs so much more money. And you can see, the price of wood back there from, down there at the Corona low. All of a sudden, everybody wants to buy wood. I don't know. Maybe they were buying shelters. I don't know if it was all going into houses. But the price of wood popped up there, cut to, hey, who got elected, and all this inflation stuff, which I was in denial. And so now, I was joking, but who knows? Maybe they were buying shelters and canned goods and what have you. But, as it gets up to a whole number there, and it backed off from that area. All right. And with that, we'll take a look at the internals, which have got cooked, and they support some bounces here. So transports, everything was damaged, stopped at the 20. It's still in an uptrend, and we'll see what happens there. So far, has already looked at their stability in the markets. And all right, so internals. Now, this is deep enough to expect the market to have stabilized or bounced. The move down confirmation, yep, that was really nasty, the selling, and there was a pickup in put buying, all good. But what I've done here, moving this values as it is to show, this downside here. Ideally, when in a market correction, and we haven't seen this level in a long time because, the way this market's been moving, is that this moving average comes down here to 1.2. It's not even close. And that, these bands that I created, I don't know, a couple of decades ago, whatever, they're doing their job by shifting as sentiment shifts and markets shift, so that now it's down to the area below this lower band, and this is down here, and we look for a bounce. Now, the other side of interpreting these internals, that historically, when I've seen breadth go from, it didn't quite get up there, and that was mentioned, that why is this is popping up? Why isn't this pushing up above 100, well above 100? So as markets consolidate and then ignite from a base, we want to see this pushing up above here to confirm that. The way this is confirming the move down. So when it goes from, the top of the range to the bottom to a bullish level and really fast, that's confirmation of the move down. And historically, it leads to more downside. So, and as we reviewed that Dow chart and V bottoms and what's happened in the past, all of that is supported by, the move down, the weekly chart, that, hey, this says, hey, look for a little stabilization and a bounce here. Maybe put spreads would be a great thing today because of this being down here, especially if there's juice, maybe there is, because of the violent move down yesterday for expiration for tomorrow. So that might be a gift, the stabilization, but coming back up, next leg down. At that time, we'd probably see a divergence here, and maybe it is a V bottom. So we'll see how it all lines up. All yours, Dan.
Hey, Greg, talk for one more minute. I got a guy here at my door. I'll be right back.
Well, what would you guys like to talk about? Dan is busy. I don't know. I'd have to open up the open positions and go over that. But, as far as gaps go, what's moving here? This AMC, someone mentioned yesterday, take a look at it. And it's up here a bit, which was showing some relative strength. So maybe, this was pretty much unfazed yesterday. I can show you how to do that, Dane, later on, how to create an earnings list in TC 2000. I sent you a TC email yesterday about how to move the pivots over. Uh, Tesla call spread for tomorrow. A call spread. I would look for a put spread.
Long or short. When you say call spread, credit or debit?
No, John and YouTube was asking about a 665, 675 call spread in Tesla for tomorrow. I mean, if there's juice there.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know if you heard me, Dan, but before something happened there, I said I thought today could be an excellent day for put spreads.
Yeah. I heard it. Yeah. We're short. We're short puts in the queues on all three of our letters. But the weekly options letter, we shorted the 308s, way the heck down here. And I was shocked that they still closed at $1. So yeah, I exactly right. It's not going to be $1 now, of course, with the overnight time decay and the gap up. But yeah, let's definitely look for a 1 DTE put spreads. Sure. All right. We did Facebook yesterday. That was the best looking thing. And yeah, I still like Facebook better than Tesla for put spread because, the moving averages are up, it's on support, whereas Tesla is on a downtrend. So yeah, we picked the best one for that. Our only problem child, and there has to be news. I didn't look up what it was, but our Blur little core trade we got into. Oh yeah, Jose's asking about it right now. Um, I it was a bullish continuation pattern. We talked about secondary offering. We talked about this yesterday in MT Live. That was a beautiful entry. So now we just got to deal with it. Yeah, it's a bearish gap. So yeah, use 30-minute low. Intel, it's still in a nasty downtrend. So you hear me using, when you say has Intel made a bottom? My answer is I have no friggin' idea. But that's power move down on the weekly with a 180 reversal, and it has room to go lower. This is a power move down with a little Bear Island gap. So until I get a lot more information, Steve, that's what I tell Debbie. It's just riding the elevator back up for a little bit is all. We're counter trend move. Back to Tesla, the Tesla is I guess rocking the Bitcoin world. They're saying Musk saying, here's Birdie. Um, okay, so yeah, this is showing the sell-off with this bar, even though the timing is weird because it trades. So I guess last night you can see here at 2000, that's when it tanked here, went from 55,000. Look at that, down to 46. Wow. And that's on, Musk saying they're going to stop accepting Bitcoin for environmental concerns. And what that means is I'm sure they're getting bombarded with complaints from the environmental people saying, look, you're supposed to be a Tesla green company, and here you go accepting this Bitcoin cryptocurrency that we know is a hog on the environment, a power hog and pollution hog, and whenever you read about Bitcoin, those are the negatives of how many equivalent of car pollutants that they make and so forth. So anyway, Bitcoin is volatile, as we all know. Every single day, people have asked me about, oh, what do you think about it? And I just give them an answer. I don't understand it. I don't believe in it. So no, it's not my bag. McDonald's here. McDonald's was down $1, so they were in the news. They were in the news of raising raising employee rates and wages. We did a call spread on this yesterday. Beautiful, beautiful igniting breakdown. There's so many things that they were more extended, but we nailed the entry on this small little morning bounce. So it's relative weakness, right? Even if it opens flat or up a few pennies, that's relatively weak to a big market gap up. So I'll probably tighten the stop to 30-minute low on that. When we unfortunately stopped yesterday, or did it? We had a stop here, I think 120.28. Look at that. It just hit our stop yesterday. Yeah, my alarm went off, so I closed it yesterday. If you're still in it, definitely, it's gapping up here. We could have got stopped at the dead low. We had a half lot. So yeah, definitely 30-minute low. What else? Boeing. Boeing said the FAA approved their recommended fix of something, but there's no pattern there at all. That's a nasty downtrend, upside shakeout. Green bars ignored. I got zero interest in Boeing right now. Woozy. Woozy I like. It's what we call a gap and snap yesterday. 2 days ago rather, and then it was an inside bar yesterday. And look at the pre-market, looks really nice. I'm gonna put a little boozy here in the bottom right. Oliver, Zoom. Is it too late to run bear call? Yeah, definitely. We're into profit taking on McDonald's. Definitely, you missed it. All right, Zoom and Carg. Zoom, and there's a lot of kind of bottoming patterns that we might want to ride the elevator back up. But I like Woozy better than Zoom because it's more climactic. Got my gap and snap. Carg, I don't know what your question is. We were in it and trail stopped yesterday under this prior day's pivot over there. There's no pattern to me in Carg. BXX. Wow, that is a big gap down into yesterday's bar. Hey, McGraw, I know you sent me some stuff. I had some questions back to you about the hedging and all, and you were saying the VIX is going to be important today for the hedgers and the gamma guys and all that kind of stuff. So we can actually in 2 weeks we're going to have them on, and yeah, I want to ask them about those VIX levels too. But my bias is definitely up for a bounce. This is a bull. I was just watching the ticker this morning. Everything was down, Dow over 100 points, the spiders down 12 points. And then I just slowly watch them turning green and then positive. So I was just painting a chart in my head, and now you can see the pre-market here since 8 a.m.